Uniform Show, episode 5. It's all going to be NFL once more today, even though there is a lot of NBA we want to eventually get to. But with the season coming to a close here with 2 weeks left, and actually we're already into the last week, there's enough to review and look at here. We're going to be jumping around like we did last time to all kinds of different matchups. Most of them are bad, but we do have a few good ones in there as well. Earlier in the season, the Raiders went to Denver to face the Broncos, and this is what we got.
It's not a true throwback. It has some good features. The Broncos uniform set here, but overall more bad than good. And if they would only go with the traditional orange that's in the helmet, that would go a long way to help them to begin. But they really just need to use the new opportunity with the one shell rule being lifted to bring back the actual throwback.
I don't understand it, why you'd go with a color rush uniform that the Broncos have for your just typical average Sunday afternoon game. This was a very unusual game too because it was on Fox. And you wouldn't have these AFC matchups on Fox. This would always be a CBS game. And the Raiders look good as they always do. But that's the kind of season it's been for the Broncos.
Yeah.
It's been a complete disaster for Russell Wilson, and their head coach has already been fired. And I don't know where the team's going. So they end up losing this game in overtime to the Raiders. And it's been a disastrous season for the Raiders too. But as always, the Raiders at least go out looking their best. The Broncos are now just a team that's without really any direction, and people are wondering whether Russell Wilson has anything left or not. Then on a very positive side, we had the 49ers hosting the Saints.
This was a big deal to us because we talk and have talked so much about the Saints not wearing their gold pants, the best uniform combination they can have, both at home and on the road, and instead wearing these white tights with no stripe at all in place of the gold pants in many cases, or the black pants with no stripe. And this was also great because they were wearing them against a former historical divisional opponent in the 49ers. So whether or not that was intentional, I like to think it was. It was a really nice throwback type of uniform matchup. And we think that if the Saints are ever going to have any chance of being successful again, they have to wear these uniforms. They won the Super Bowl in these uniforms.
You don't get many opportunities to say that there's a pleasant surprise with uniforms, and this was one of them. I was thinking coming to this game that it was going to be the white on black, or they may even go as far as wearing white on white. But I, too, really enjoyed this because of what you said. It was a former divisional matchup that we would have for a year between the 49ers and the Saints. And it was amazing that we had at one point three gold teams in the same division.
Right.
But it works. It works for both teams. It was not a particularly good game. It was an ugly defensive game. Some people can appreciate the defense. We can. And I got to bring up one thing here about the Saints is I don't understand the use of Taysom Hill. I mean, he can throw the football. He can run the football. He can catch the ball. He can do all these things, but it's so gimmicky that I can't make any sense out of it. And I think it's gotten to the point where it's kind of goofy how they use him. And I'd just say, just pick a position. Pick a position for this guy. And I don't know. I'm not really crazy about Taysom Hill. And you can see in that play, it was Nick Bosa delivering the big hit. Hopefully the Saints will wear these a little more often again.
Yeah.
Then to Thursday Night Football, we have 49ers at Seahawks. And this was one we knew, every year, it's been for the 4 straight years now with this game, the 49ers go to Seattle, and they're wearing the 94 white on whites. It's just a lock that they're going to wear these because of winning up there in 2019 and breaking the streak of years. How many years did they lose up there in a row? It was 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. It was 7 years they lost up there in a row. And then they decide, well, since we went up there one time and won in these, and we won the division, we're going to keep wearing them every single year.
And we said this year going in that, we even said it last year too, I'm pretty sure, that it was time to stop doing this. It was a one-time situation where things worked out well and the magic, or whatever you want to call it, had worn out, had left, and they didn't need to do it anymore. They went ahead and did it this year. They won, and they won the division. I myself still feel the same way, that they don't need to keep doing this every year in Seattle. It looks pretty good. It would look better with the Red Sox, as it traditionally was in the 90s. But on the Seahawks side, I was kind of thinking they were going to go with neon. Didn't expect them to go with neon over blue. But
exactly. I thought there was a real chance of them wearing neon all the way, and the fact that they only went halfway was a surprise. I still thought they were probably going to just wear their usual blue on blues.
Yeah.
And here's one of just the ugly games that you're going to come across. We talk about the AFC South and how, in our opinions, you can contract 3 teams out of this division, and I don't think anyone would miss them.
Right.
The Texans, the Titans, and I don't see any reason why you keep the Jaguars. I mean, 3 teams in Florida, and when you're looking this bad on top of it, we don't need 32 teams in the NFL. We don't need expansion. We just need better teams.
Right. And from a uniform standpoint, we feel that you can just combine the Texans and Titans and make them the Oilers again. And the Oilers have outstanding uniforms. The Colts are far above every other team in this division as far as uniforms go. The Jaguars, if they were to go back to their original uniforms, we'd say, okay, they can stick around. But as the Texans, Titans, and Jaguars are currently, not pretty, very trendy, modern in a bad way. And stockings are on full display.
Yeah, I've never liked the Titans at any point. But they looked okay. It was a passable look when they entered the league. But really everything they've tried since, to me, has just gotten worse and worse and worse. And it's a broken record, but it's time for a redesign. It's time to, well, honestly, I say it's either time you get a better look or you just get rid of the team. Mm-hmm. And the Jaguars, at least at one point in their history, they looked good. But with all these experimental uniforms and combinations. They too have been bad for years.
Yeah, all you can say now is that they don't have the two-tone gold and black helmet anymore. But that's about all you can say.
That's the only defense we have for them.
Uniform itself is slightly improved as far as the jersey goes, but that's about it.
The Browns. The Browns have a lot of good combinations they can go with. And I am a big fan of the brown uniform, home uniform. And we like a lot of combinations they have on the road. This, though, there's no excuse for wearing brown on brown.
And the color rush version they had before was even better than this. As bad as that was, at least they had this traditional stripe on the pants and stripes on the jersey sleeves. This is just completely plain, inferior version of that. And like you just said, when they have so many other good combinations, brown jersey, white pants, brown jersey, orange pants, white jersey, white pants, white jersey, orange pants. Every one of those is better than this. And again, as we've said before, choosing to wear this ugly alternate versus a team in the opposite conference, the NFC, you only get to see these two teams once every 4 years. It's even more disappointing.
And they lost the game. They found a way to lose the game. On top of it, I don't want to see these again. And we had the Giants and the Lions. The Lions have been on a streak of making a lot of terrible uniform choices. But this was especially one that you strongly disliked when they went to New York.
Right. And this is their attempt at being the Saints, as far as I'm concerned, with the all-white pants, no stripe, no logo, nothing on it. It's all white. It's almost transparent in ways, combined with the complete buy-in from every player on the team of wearing the transparent stockings with the visible seams, one piece all the way down. It does look like the NFL has gone to the ballet for this combination for the Lions, and they have silver/gray pants. They have the blue pants. Both have a stripe. Both look much better than this. This is just like, we're lazy. We don't even want to bother wearing any real pants today. We're just going to take a week off and wear our pajama bottoms.
With the Lions, I'm looking from top to bottom here, and you start off with still a strong helmet and logo, above average. And then you have a very average jersey, and then you have the terrible looking pants and one piece looking pants and stockings that you have here. And it's why when you could bust out silver or even a gray, and then you could also just go with blue, and you go with this. Gets me.
Yeah.
I mean, well, at least when I'm looking at the other side of the field, we've never liked the gray pants for the Giants. I really like that they've gone with the white pants here. But when I see these, I just say again, why don't you just go back to the 80s, 90s look for the Giants? But big thumbs down for the Lions.
Yeah, and even if the Lions, for these white pants, had a stripe like the Giants, it would improve it a lot, but they don't.
Then we had the Sunday night game between the Packers and the Eagles. And we got problems all over here. We got the Eagles finally giving us the alternate helmet, which, I mean, even if the lighting's not good, you may not even think it's an alternate helmet.
The black and the green are
yeah,
so
with
similar.
just a quick glance, you may not get that because they've already worn black in the past. But the fact, again, it's all black all the way down, and I have to point out the uniform infraction here with the Packers defensive backs and multiple players wearing white all the way down.
Right.
Of all the uniforms, you don't do that with the Packers. We talked about the Cowboys. You don't do that with the Packers, but let's talk about the Eagles.
All black. As far as alternate uniforms go and helmets go, it's still very good, but unnecessary. As we said when we reviewed the alternate helmets previously, stick with the green jersey, and stick with the white pants and socks that aren't stockings.
Yeah, this was another one that it's just unnecessary. And when we went through and we were reviewing a bunch of these alternate helmets and uniforms, hey, if everyone's wearing black, it's not special. What would be special is having their turn back green uniforms, which again, we're so excited that they'll have those next year. You wonder if they're even going to bring this back, or if this is really just a 1-year experiment that they're doing.
Right.
Then we had the Cowboys wearing their salute to service helmet, the red, white, and blue. They've done this now for the past 2 seasons, and they did this originally in the 70s.
At the time, it was just a single tribute at one time in the 70s, and now it's becoming an every year thing, so it's different. We both said that wish they did it somehow differently, a patch,
A wristband,
something like that that doesn't interfere with the Cowboys' consistent blue stripe. Just doesn't work very well.
because it doesn't go with the rest of the helmet.
Right.
That's my thing. Of course, the blue stripe goes along with the star, and then you add that in. But at least they didn't mess with the star, I suppose. At least they didn't do anything with the numbers.
Right. But normally it matches the pant stripe, and the inconsistency and unbalance of it is just not very good.
On Christmas Eve, we had the Raiders going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And this was the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. In getting into the game, it's sad to see the Steelers and Raiders, especially the Raiders, fall so far out of being competitive and a really respectable team over the many years. And this falls in the category to me of historical rivalry. It's not a rivalry anymore. It hasn't been a rivalry since the 70s. But it's a perfect example of a historic rivalry. The Raiders have stayed very consistent with their uniform over the years, even with the moves to Los Angeles and going back to Oakland and now Las Vegas. And this is the way the Steelers should look.
The block numbers make a huge difference, much better than their current number style font. And there's really not much more room for improvement that you could ask out of the Steelers. But in this game, you said
they should have gone all the way and had the gray face mask, because that's what they were wearing at that point in history 50 years ago. Had the gray face mask to complete the uniform. I love the block numbers. Another very nice touch to the game was the classic yellow end zones.
right.
We're very critical of the Steelers and the end zones they've had at Heinz Field. Very plain, very little effort at all. Seeing the filled in end zones is what the Steelers should have. I mean, why would you settle for any less for the Pittsburgh Steelers, arguably the most successful team in NFL history?
Right. Yellow end zones with black lettering, logos to the AFC. It's not as if they don't have a lot of money that they couldn't make it work, and it matches the yellow seats. But instead, most of the season they just have Pittsburgh on one side and the white lines on the other.
Then for Christmas Day, this is the Vikings hosting the Giants.
And we knew that the Vikings rarely wore white at home, away at home, but we didn't know how rare it was until checking gridiron uniforms and seeing what UniWatch said. It had been since the 1960s, 1964 to be exact, and they and the Lions and the Seahawks are teams that just never wear white way at home, ever. And they chose to do it for Christmas, the holidays, snow, whatever the case was, a whiteout. The whole fan base was participating for the most part in the stands. The Vikings were too. This has been the year of the Vikings wearing white socks no matter what, white stockings no matter what, home or road for the most part, except for when they wore all purple on Thanksgiving night. And it's just still not a good look, no matter how you do all white.
Yeah, flagging here 39 Sullivan here for a trend that I have a problem with is no cutoff socks in the NFL, or the no sock look. You have the stocking there, and I still can't believe I'm starting to get used to saying that. But no sock, and that's just an incomplete look. I mean, they already look bad enough, even if you are wearing like what a Bynum is there, white all the way down. The Giants look really good. They look as good as they're going to compared to that Viking uniform. I hope they don't do this anytime soon. Let's hope they never wear it again at home.
Right. It'll probably become an annual tradition, but you can only hope it won't.
And then for our last one for today, we had a Thursday night football game, and we were waiting for this, the final alternate helmet of the season, and it's the Cowboys white helmet. Not the traditional helmet, but the white helmet with the outline around the star.
White alternate version of the usual silver helmet. Still overall very, very good design, but why they need to have a white helmet other than the throwback, and why they need to have white pants, and why this game just became a color rush game when there doesn't need to be color rush anymore. Pretty interesting, but they decided they want to have a Thursday color rush game because they were so wonderful and lovable in the past. Again, this year on Thursday, Titans blue on blue on blue on blue, Cowboys white on white on white on white. Overall, it could be a worse jersey, it could be a worse design, but the Cowboys should not be messing around.
Yeah, this is one we went over at length in the helmet review with these two white Cowboy helmets. Was if you were just grading them for what they are, I would say this one looks better than the traditional classic helmet with the blue star, only no outline. But to me, it's just an inferior version of the silver helmet. That's why I don't like it. as there's more to distinguish with the plain blue star, and it's a traditional anyway. Would have been nice to see them have, say, a blue face mask, something else. But we get back to our point that we always have is you don't need a white helmet when you're the Cowboys, and you should not wear an alternate when you're the Cowboys. And I don't understand the color rush thing. It's one thing to have white on white, but could we at least get some blue socks in there?
Yeah.
Help us out. And then you're looking on the other side of the field, the Titans. That you can always count on them to look bad.
Yeah. Yeah, if the Cowboys had just used the traditional version from 1994, this jersey with the silver helmet and silver pants, would have been much better.
And one final point about the Dallas Cowboys is here they are once again feasting on bad competition. Dak Prescott leads the NFL in interceptions, and he's missed several games, remember, at the start of the season. He leads the league in interceptions, and then you read all these experts who say he's an elite quarterback. Depends on how you define an elite quarterback. The point is Derek Carr has as many interceptions in less games, and Derek Carr was benched for the rest of the year.
Right.
So we have 2 weeks left in the season. We'll see what the teams decide to pull out. There's not going to be any alternate helmets left. And then we've got playoffs, and we'll have a bunch of NBA to catch up on as well.